actually being domesticated. It's complicated. Remember
I
that
don't
it
know
was
why these videos hurt my soul. Why you put your face down on the ground next to a raccoon? That's a wild animal. Hello and meowdy YouTube! Welcome back to another video. It is I, Saphwyn, the silly Deco Vtuber, and today we are diving into how raccoons almost got away with it. This is brought to you by Geographic. Our original video is linked down below, as well as the playlist on my channel of all my Geographic reactions. If you're new here, I adore Geographic. I adore animals. I did study biology. I worked with animals. They are my absolute favorite. They are my niche. I love talking to people about them. So let's have a good time. I hope you enjoyed the video. But before we dive in, we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and I would love if you could join in on my journey. So hit that subscribe button and let's dive on into the video.
A new study shows raccoons are evolving and trying their hardest to become our pets. Let me explain.
Now, how about I explain? Raccoons wear masks because they might have pulled the feline finesse on humanity. It's what you've probably heard from the news, with researchers saying that an overachieving trash panda might be the next animal to domesticate itself.
Guys, we're about to unlock pet raccoons. How lit.
So much that they're already getting cuter in the process.
I should say this too, but before we even dive into this video, do not go capture a wild raccoon. Do not go up to a wild raccoon. They are an unpredictable wild animal. They can bite, they can scratch, they carry zoonotic diseases, they do carry risk of rabies, as well as like roundworm and salmonella and more. Be cautious, do not go up to them. They can aggress on you as well. They have sharp teeth. I know this video might be like, cute raccoon, but this is your precaution, okay?
Domestication doesn't just make animals more tolerant of people, it physically changes them too, with changes like floppy ears, curly tails, smaller teeth, brains, and shorter snout. And one change has folks excited for the future of raccoons. And it's
I'm
all
so
because
intrigued.
of
Tracking domestication signals across populations of North American raccoons. We use raccoons as a mammalian model system to test other exposure to human environments triggers a trait of the domestication syndrome. The thing is, too, a lot of raccoons now are, I don't want to say infested into the city, but they are in that urban environment. So when they are in an urban environment around humans, they get accustomed to humans, and this can also speed up the domestication. Not even the domestication per se, but the boundary between human and wild animal.
this study.
Interesting.
By combing through 19,000 raccoon portraits posted to iNaturalist, the study concluded that the urban raccoon snout size was shorter than their country cousins by 3.6%. Possibly because shorter snouts with stronger bites are better at chewing through our trash, and that trash might be how this all started. What people forget is domestication isn't just brute force by humanity. The animal has to make the first move, and with dogs, that move was early wolves scavenging off human leftovers, a habit that favored less fearful, less aggressive wolves. Without their love affair of our food, we wouldn't have dogs, and arguably no animal loves our trash more than a recycle ninja.
His name is literally Trash Panda. I should say his nickname is Trash Panda. Of course he loves the trash.
Cat is a survivalist on steroids who easily adjusted to life in the city, pivoting from foraging from 9 to 5 to dumpster dive, and leaving trees for chimneys. Raccoons have hands, free will, and the intellect to use both.
They do.
Getting a lick on a donut shop and slipping away to do it again. That is, when they don't use.
Bro's been there. Bro's done that multiple times. You see how slick he was? He came through the roof, the ceiling. He's been there. He's done that.
The direct approach of just asking for it. Mind you, stealth eyes have great memory. She just made a regular for life. They'll take free rides from anywhere, literally. There's more than one case of ring-tailed commuters taking trains, like when a raccoon hopped on a Toronto GO train headed halfway down Ontario, or when another tried hopping on a subway in Spadina Station. Raccoons aren't just built for the city, they're forged by it, and all our efforts to slow them down might have just made them smarter. Toronto spent $31 million on raccoon-proof green garbage bins in 2016, designed specifically to keep the veiled vermin from your trash.
Sometimes, guys, sometimes I love my country. Holy moly!
Raccoons spent a couple days in false defeat, until a few were caught making the bins, the 30 mil, and
of course
Toronto looked like a joke.
I'm not gonna lie, I have a raccoon that I have a bear that shows up and a raccoon because I keep my garbage outside. Sometimes I do keep it inside depending on the scenario, but I have both of those critters who like going into my garbage here at my house. You know, one's a lot more nicer to see, I guess you could say. I'd rather see that raccoon than the bear, but both happen. They very rarely happen. We also will put like locks on our garbage, and you can get like a topper for it to stop the wild animals from coming in. But it's always a thing, right? Like you're always going to deal with some sort of wild animal, especially when you don't live, you know, in the middle of the city. And I'm saying that, but even if you live in the middle of the city, you have to be wary of these raccoons. So I don't know.
Nothing is truly raccoon proof, and many believe that the harder people push to prove otherwise, the more they've
look at
accidentally
him
buffed
go.
the brain of a bin burglar. In fact, many people have dubbed this excessively street smart variant as the Uber raccoon. So it would seem that like death, taxes, and The Simpsons getting another season, raccoons are inevitable. But before you start fantasizing about naming a litter merchant Rocket, you should probably know, what exactly is a raccoon? Let's take this ride one more time. With Order Carnivora, there's a team cat and a team dog. Team cat Feliform has, well, cats, wildcats, hyenas, the mongoose mafia, and a bunch of mammal casserole nature made out of spare parts like the binturong and the fusa. Team dog Caniformia has the canines along with bears, pinnipeds, mustelid crash outs like the honey badger, skunks, and of course,
calling that a muscle crash out, the honey badger. He do be crashing out, but I don't know.
the raccoon.
Of
More
course.
specifically, the raccoon family is Procyon, and that family reunion has members that you may not have heard of before, like the ringtail,
Oh my
actual
gosh,
name,
look at
the
him.
Kakamisle. Every time I see it, it feels like the first time. The Kinkajou, aka the honey bear, but by far my favorite raccoon
What? What was that little insert there? What was that insert there? What was that insert there?
cousin is not a moonwalking dinosaur. That's just what happens when you put coatis in reverse. If you've been to Mexico, you've definitely seen at least one coatimundi, if not coatimany. And as someone who's been to Mexico, I can assure you that they'll steal your heart along with anything else left unsupervised.
Every animal.
It's an habitual hog-nosed thief. And
Thank
suddenly
you.
I'm okay
Thank you,
with
thank
that.
you.
So obviously when it comes to raccoons, it's just genetic. They can't help themselves. But raccoons were the only ones that were able to leave the trenches and make money moves in the city. But how?
Oh, I don't even tell you either about my trash can story. I know you some of you guys don't care about my stories, but it's okay. It's my video. I can do what I want. I have a raccoon. Also, it's probably the same one that gets into my garbage, but he very rarely does that. But he does like eating all my bird seed. If you guys didn't know, I feed a bunch of primarily woodpeckers and then like songbirds, but I have a big population of woodpeckers that I feed bird seeds to. And apparently I feed a raccoon bird seeds too, because sometimes he likes to sneak in. I even have like the raccoon proof and the squirrel proof feeders as well to try and prevent this. But, you know, if there's a will, there's a way.
How did raccoons finesse the infrastructure so well that you honestly
Look at
forget they're
him.
not supposed to be there? You know raccoons are smart. The question is how smart?
Super
Yes,
smart.
But
Yes.
literal Robin Hood isn't just street smart. They
Oh my
sit at a table
gosh.
with some of the brainiest animals in the world. In
Correct.
1907, two psychologists tried to power scale the intelligence of the raccoon, and to do it, they used Edward Thorndike's puzzle box. In this method, the subject would have to engineer an escape by opening a series of latches to see not only how fast they could accidentally find the answer, but how quickly they could purposely do it again.
Crazy.
They both did the same experiment separately, and both came to the conclusion that not only did a bushy-tailed urbanite clear cats and dogs, the raccoon's performance put them right under monkeys. Raccoons are also one of the few animals that passed Aesop's test. In another experiment, 2 out of 8 raccoons were able to figure out that they could reach a marshmallow in a tube with water by dropping stones to raise the level high enough. The third one said, and just sat on the tube and rocked back and forth until it tipped over and the water and marshmallow spilled out, something a team of PhD students did not see coming. It was never a secret raccoons are cognitively
Interesting.
capable. Once upon a time in the 20th century, there was a push to use raccoons as lab animals for neuroscientists and psychologists, but that idea lost steam due to the procedural issues of raccoons breaking out of cages and escaping through vents.
Yes.
Basically, it got to the
There
point
also
where
the thing is too with a raccoon. If you're having a raccoon in any type of space, it is still a wild animal. It still will and could provoke aggression, right? I'm not saying like your mice or your rat, which is your typical lab animal right now. They can still provoke aggression, but it's having a raccoon is having an animal on a way larger scale. And like they said, they break out, then you're going to be dealing with a raccoon infestation within your university or whenever you are doing research.
you couldn't tell who was studying who. A deliberate disciplinary choice in the history of bullshit. They got embarrassed by a dumpster puppy and refused to run it back.
Wow.
Honestly, raccoon intelligence comes down to 2 things. One is memory. Raccoons can remember solutions to problems they solved years ago and will just build on that knowledge. A different experiment involved 22 rats, 2 dogs, 4 raccoons, and 5 human children. And this time, they'd face 3 light bulbs, one of which would briefly turn on, and the subject would have to identify which one after a delay. At first, the raccoons didn't do too hot. They could pick the right light bulb after a 25-second delay, but the dogs could handle 5 minutes. But what was quickly realized was both the dogs and the rats could only remember which bulb if and only if they were facing the bulbs the entire time. As soon as they moved around and lost visual, they lost the challenge. But raccoons could pick the right light even after spending the delay moving around and being distracted. The only other subjects that could do this were the children. Memory is important, but the second pillar of procyonid prowess is curiosity. It might have killed the cat, but La Poubelle Panda has been living off that.
Yes.
In my opinion, other than crows, raccoons are the perfect city animal, and curiosity is one of the reasons why. They're neophiles, meaning their first response to something they've never seen before is to figure it out. That's how they turn what Toronto media flex as the marvel of ergonomic design into a 7-figure waste of everyone's time. It's almost impossible to make something raccoon-proof, since there's an unsettling overlap between the smartest raccoon and the dumbest human. It doesn't help that a rubbish warrior has hands. Fun fact, the animal called wash bear doesn't wash food. They actually wet their paws to enhance the nerves on their fingers, meaning raccoons can see what
That's like, you guys probably see the videos too, but when they're doing this, when they're washing their paws or whatever, people giving cotton candy to a raccoon. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos. It's always so sad for me when I see a raccoon being given cotton candy because they can't process what happened to it, and especially because like you shouldn't be giving, you know, a raccoon pure sugar. But it's also that impact where like people are just laughing at this poor raccoon who doesn't even know what's happening.
Eating with their hands. Speaking of food,
do not, and this is your warning. Do not go give raccoons cotton candy. I'm not telling you to go do that. Do not go do that. It is not fair to the raccoon. Do not feed the raccoon.
It helps that raccoons are omnivores that'll mooch off you, your dog, your cat. They'll food tax your entire family and hit the goofiest animation after. They'll try anything once, even if it means waking up face down in a liquor store. But what raccoons really eat off of is pretty privilege. Despite being much less of a disease risk, opossums don't get a fraction of the PR. And people who hate on coyotes but give raccoons a pass must not have the experience of waking up to a dismembered, disemboweled cat. In fact, intelligence in a face mask often makes you forget they're a predator tough enough to maul your family pet.
Yes.
And in the city, very few things can return the favor, as urban raccoons have almost no predators. Except for maybe an otter. Not like I think otters actually eat them, but to be fair, this does look very predatory. Other than Lila showing Rocket where everybody floats, raccoons are in that
otter just like body slammed that raccoon. Whoa.
sweet spot where many of the things that would normally eat them are too big to really follow them into the city. Or at least if they do, they get all the smoke from humanity. Basically with raccoons, they're bigger than the cute animals, cuter than the big animals. But the last piece is their psychology. Experiments show that the quieter, more docile raccoons were craftier and much better at solving puzzles than the aggressives. Ironically, bolder raccoons were less likely to take the time to see how a device works. Meaning not only are calm raccoons superior students and problem solvers, but calmness is the trait that animals need to survive constantly being around humans. It's also the first step to domestication. Which brings us back to the question.
I'm gonna be real honest with you guys in chat right now. Do not get your hopes up. We will probably not see raccoon domestication for years. Probably not in our lifetime. And it may never ever happen. So please do not get your hopes up. Please do not go get yourself a pet raccoon. Okay?
Raccoons actually being domesticated. It's complicated. Remember
I don't know why these videos hurt my soul. Why you put your face down on the ground next to a raccoon? That's a wild animal. For exactly that reason, he will be attacking.
Wolves valuing our leftovers so much that they created selective pressure that favored less fearful, more people-tolerant wolves. And after several generations of these docile wolves breeding, you eventually got the breeding blocks that would lead to Shih Tzus, Pekingese, and someone's arthritic, crusty-eyed, semi-bigoted Q-tip. You know, there was a period where every single girl I talked to had one of these, and they did not like me. But a lot of people say that the mass marauder is at the starting line of the same process, and that the snout study only proves it. Just one problem though, that study is very sus, for a number of reasons. They used images that were uploaded by random people to iNaturalist, meaning I could have snapped a raccoon and thrown a pic up there and it might have ended up in the study. And then to avoid, I guess, duplicates, they limited the image contribution to 1 picture per person, which cut the picture pool from over 100,000 to just under 20,000. But they also had no way of knowing multiple people didn't just clock the same raccoon. And then, out of the 19,495 pictures, they cut it down to 249, 38 rural raccoons, and 211 urban. I'm guessing they filtered out for the best quality images to measure, but I feel like you can't mess with the numbers that much without severely kneecapping your study, especially since they say they pulled pictures from 2000 to 2024, but only used the last 4 years due to a low number of rural data points. Basically, they're saying in 20 years they couldn't find enough country raccoons. That's a, I don't know. Look, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm the best at reading these studies or making sense of the numbers, so I'm actually gonna link this creator's video. She's an actual raccoon biologist. She's the only US citizen allowed to study the pygmy raccoon, and the creator of DashCon, which was some lore I was not expecting.
Wait, she's the creator of DashCon? Duh, guys, if you know, you know. Hashtag ball pit time.
Honestly, I'm not as worried about the numbers as I am the fact that the same study even admitted that raccoon snouts can be influenced by the climate, with them getting shorter as it gets warmer.
That makes sense.
Remember, I said domestication syndrome can come with shorter snouts, but also floppy ears, curly tails, etc. So they took one trait that arguably could be caused by the climate, and I also forgot the way they did it. Some of the rural raccoons were actually living in urban areas. Again, I'm gonna plug Nessie's video. I feel like she did a much better job at dissecting this study than me, but the more I looked at it, the more it looked like an undergrad statistics project than an actual raccoon study. Which it actually might be.
But why would you? Why would you? If you were a raccoon, and especially if you're a rural raccoon near an urban center, or you can migrate to an urban center, realistically, why would you stay living in the rural environment when it's easier to obtain food within the urban setting? You know what I mean? Because in the urban setting, you have access to a wide variety of scraps, food, etc., garbage, whatever it may be. In the rural area, you're still foraging and hunting and like actively looking for your food, where the urban is kind of like served to you on a platter. So like, why wouldn't you slowly migrate to the easier section?
The real reason I'm making this video, I know I just pissed off a whole bunch of people by killing their raccoon reverie, but the thing is, I'm not saying raccoons aren't domesticating themselves. I'm also not saying they are. Let me explain. Domestication is a multi-generational DNA-altering process that ends with an animal that kind of needs us to survive. They can't live in the wild, or at least they're not supposed to. Habituation happens on an individual level, where the animal's still wild, their kids are going to be wild, but they've adopted changes in behavior to take advantage of being around people. When the early wolves became less afraid of people and more comfortable cleaning our plates, that was habituation. And habituation is what you see with a lot of these raccoons getting bolder around people, but they're not trying to become our pets, they're just trying to eat. Does that make sense? Like, you could argue habituation is the first step of domestication, but it doesn't guarantee domestication. A shot of jungle juice could be the first step to becoming an alcoholic, but one shot does not an alcoholic make. You can drink it without ending up in an AA meeting. And even if raccoons are on the road to domestication.
Wild analogy, but yes, I guess.
You, me, our kids, and even the spawn after that won't be alive to see it.
Correct.
And by that logic, raccoons wouldn't be the only ones. Plenty of animals have habituated to humans. Foxes in London have done infinitely better in cities than in the country, and some researchers even say that their snouts are also getting smaller, as rooting through trash has selected for shorter snouts with stronger bites to break through packages and bones. And black bears in places like Aspen, Colorado will regularly commute from the woods into the city to scavenge trash at night, and they've also gotten really bold about it, even breaking into houses.
Like I said, I, as someone who lives in an area, I have black bear who comes around my house. Does he come around often? No, actually, I don't think he was here at all last summer, or she was here at all last summer. I don't know. And I don't recall, but it was 2 years ago for sure. I think I had a bear 3 times maybe, and I used measures to keep them away because I do not want a bear around the house. I do not want to be actively feeding a wild animal to encourage it to come to the house, but sometimes it happens.
And raiding fridges. Elephants in Thailand have habituated to the point of running things like the mafia. You got elephants stopping trucks on the road just to steal their sugarcane.
Correct.
By far the best, or I guess worst example, is baboons in South Africa being so used to humans meaning an easy meal, now they expect it and will violently run your pockets. But no one's saying baboons, elephants, or especially bears are being domesticated, and black bears are just obese raccoons. I mean, some will claim that for foxes, but even if they are, nobody you know or will know will be alive to see it. And as cities continue to spread, a lot of animals will have to adapt or die. And credit, raccoons adapted the hell out of their circumstances. Raccoons hack the city game, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. Toronto is considered the raccoon capital of the world, with up to 100,000 black-eyed bandits free roaming, which would technically make them the largest minority group in Toronto. And if the $30 million dud wasn't proof, these sticky-fingered city slickers are testing humanity in ways few other urbanites could. But at least raccoons make sense in North America. Somehow they've taken their act international to Germany. In 1934,
wait. They're international, worldwide travelers.
They've taken their act international to Germany. In 1934, raccoon fur farms were booming, and a local forestry chief.
I see. So they were there, and they probably got released and or escaped. I see.
He released 2 pairs of wash bears to enrich the environment. The result was the raccoon population blew up. And not just them, because years later, a bomb obliterated a farm near Berlin, allowing 30 raccoons to escape. And today, there's an estimated 1 million rogues roaming the country. 1940s Germany yet still did not see that coming. But the most outrageous origin story is how they ended up in Japan. You see, after the 1977 Rascal the Raccoon anime, raccoons became all the rage. So much that Japan was importing over 1,000 a year to satisfy the demand for pets. And thanks to raccoons being some of the worst pets you can have.
Nah, not us importing raccoons for pets. Nah.
If they weren't released into the streets by owners, they escaped and invaded the cities anyway. If they could have just taken the time to finish the anime, they probably would have gained the insight that could have avoided all of this. Instead, Japan has been at war with an unknown number of raccoons who aren't just costing millions of dollars in damage a year. They've done an absolute number on the already endangered Japanese salamander, while also severely outcompeting the very ironic looking raccoon dog. They can't keep getting away with this. But it's not all good for the raccoon. Habituation can be a problem for them too. As funny as a raccoon breaking into a liquor store and getting faded off the moonshine is, there are some unexpected consequences to them eating the same food as us. Like, did you know raccoons can get diabetes?
Yep.
Researchers looked into the ruins in Ontario, and they found that the city variety had a blood glucose level more than double those in the country. Mom, I'm sorry, I know you don't like me cursing, but I cannot stress how badly you f***ed them over by feeding them. A mashed up chunk is real cute.
And the thing is, too, you feed a wild raccoon, it goes for any animal, but you feed a wild raccoon per se, he's going to familiarize that place, and then he's going to like show up and expect food. That's why I said like he tries to get my birdseed, but I am now switched them over to a raccoon-proof feeder, so he can't get it, but the birds can still get it. And I will, if I put anything else out, I do take it in at nighttime because you know, as much as I love seeing wild animals and I love seeing raccoons, I don't want to encourage them. And you know what I mean? Like, if you're feeding them, they lose their instinct to hunt, and then you are setting the animal up for failure, especially if you go away and you don't continue feeding the animal. Does that make sense?
Realize they're having the same issues with obesity, diabetes, and other health problems.
Yeah.
And remember, Toronto already blew an NBA player's salary trying to stop them. Not to mention the very real issue that raccoons go the way of baboons, where they not only lose all fear and respect for humans, but start getting violent about it too. Because I say it all the time, you could probably finish the phrase for me, but the worst thing an animal can do is what? Lose its fear of humans.
Correct.
Because while the original raccoon might seem far from extinction, there's another raccoon on the brink that you may not have even heard of. Because there's actually 3 species of raccoon. You got the famous common raccoon, but also the crab-eating, or South American, because they don't even eat that much crab, but also the Cozumel, or pygmy raccoon. You remember how I said Nessie's the only US citizen that's authorized to study them? Well, she's seen firsthand what habituation, especially tourism, has done to them. Like, while I was sitting home working on this video, she had to deal with a couple Cozumels that died due to habituation, likely due to the malnutrition of eating tourist trash. It's sad that there's only a couple hundred of these walking travel-sized trench coats left, with, other than habitat loss, parasites and disease being some of the main reasons why. Reasons that definitely are not helped by being fed junk by tourists. But probably the biggest problem is that most people don't even know they exist. Like, if you look up Mexican raccoon, Google will probably acknowledge the coati before the Cozumel. And it's getting to the point where if we don't lock in, like, now, the whole Cozumel raccoon community is gonna get canceled.
Sad.
That would really suck, because I literally just found out about them last year. So to make a long story short, raccoons aren't domesticating themselves. And if they are, it's no more than baboons, bears, or foxes. And if they are, it'll be many, many generations before anyone sees it. And honestly, I don't think the scientists reporting on it were trying to be misleading, because again, it technically could be domestication, but I feel like news outlets saw domestication and kind of ran with it. And then people saw that news and immediately started thinking they'll have raccoons.
Bro, I knew the raccoon had game, but I didn't realize he had game like this. Oh my goodness. This is also, well, depending on where this is, the green iguana is also a very highly invasive species, especially within Florida.
In pet stores in their lifetime, and that's not the case. And you don't want it to be. I'm not kidding when I say a raccoon as a pet will have you hating the species, your life, and everything about it. Imagine an adorable but incompetent contractor that does awful work and then demands food after. That, and they're liable to mangle your cat. Also, it's not good for the raccoons either. I can show you a graveyard full of raccoons that started as pets. And hot take, all exotic pets are bad. okay? But I feel like opossums as an option are way more chill. Like, who's ever been punked by a possum? And skunks are a low-key sleeper pick. Like, I'm not kidding. They might get a video next. But yeah, instead of obsessing over bringing raccoons into our house, we should probably try to save them while they're still out. And that's gonna do it for this video. Shout out to Nessie for helping me with this video while fighting the good fight. She's currently in an undisclosed location in Cozumel trying to save the pygmy population. I'm gonna put all her stuff in the description. Also, shout out to Newsflare. A lot of the clips used in this video were licensed through them. So yeah, definitely recommend for finding clips for your projects. Also, I just want to say I'm not an expert in this. Like, don't think of me as a teacher, more like a student sharing his work with the class. And if you disagree with me, I have no problem with healthy discourse in my comments. In fact, I actively encourage it. Just don't be like weird about it. You know what I mean. Drink water, hug your mother. Stop feeding. Is this on? Hold on, let me just.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Stop feeding raccoons. They don't need the help, and your help's not helping.
Yes.
Tell a friend about the Cozumel.
This is why we love Casual Geographic. Speak your mind. I do agree completely. They do not need your help. They will find your trash. You do not need to feed them. I know that they're cute, but you do not need to feed them.
You need the PR. Say what's up to your pops, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.
Oh my gosh. Heck yeah. Thanks for watching. Wow. Is he training them to come out to the sound of the flute for food? Is this what he's doing? There's so many of them too. This is the next video. We're gonna have to watch this one too, the crow one. It's the latest one. And then we are also working our way back through all the ones I haven't seen as well, so bear with me. It is a mixture of keeping up with the new ones and working with all the old ones as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if I sounded repetitive at all, but it is, you know, like I said, I like to get the point across. I like to teach you guys and make sure it's ingrained in your mind as well. But I appreciate you guys for sticking around watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, comment down the raccoon emoji. And if you want more content from me, go check out the Patreon. All my uncut reactions to anime are up on the Patreon. And I mean, I have lots. We have thousands, not thousands. We're probably almost at the 1,000 mark of episodes over there. So if you want plenty of content, if you want to do a catch up and support the channel, do check out the Patreon. Link down below. And I will catch you guys all on the flip side. Bye bye.